I wanted to start by asking both of you if you could give, we've just, obviously seen this nice piece about the restoration, but can you give a little context about the actual original commissioning of this film in 1965? How did it come about, and how did Peter Whitehead become involved as the original director?
In 1965, as you know, the Beatles had just done A Hard Day's Night. So Andrew thought, okay, well now the Stones have to make a film. And in order to get the Stones comfortable with being in front of a camera, he commissioned Peter Whitehead, who had just shot Holy Communion, to spend 2 days on the road with them, I think for £2,000, and go to Dublin and Belfast and film the boys on the road. So this was basically just to get them, they didn't even know what they were going to do with it at the time. It was just to have them in front of a camera.
And it seems that this film has sort of been a more rumored than known film in the last 47 years. What was its fate at the time? Why has it been so hard to see it?
Yeah. Well, it's been on the bootleg market for a while, so, and I think that after the Stones realized this is September, and they fly directly to LA to record Get Off My Cloud, and then they go right back into touring. So their focus shifted back to recording music, and like other Stones films, like Rock and Roll Circus, got shelved. And Jagger always looks forward, and the Stones always look forward, and once the time had passed, the time had passed.
And Mick, in addition to the restoration work that was done, are there any actual sort of content changes to the film? Were scenes added, taken out, any different music than was in the original version?
Oh, yeah. I'd say about 60% of this film is entirely new footage. We didn't even know it really existed until we started investigating the restoration of the original films. So,
For instance, the scene, the sitting on a fence scene.
sitting on a fence, the kids following them down the road.
The press conference.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. Most of the performance, they were just raw footage.
Mm-hmm.
The performances, if I can add on, it didn't exist. They were, Mick and our editor, Nathan, who's out there somewhere, poor Nathan, sat there with silent footage of just like knowing this is shot on, oh God, I forgot the name of the camera. An Eclair, thank you. So it's not, they run very short little clips. So this is one camera shoot.
And no sound.
And no sound. And poor Nathan had to sit there and read lips and try to figure out what song they were singing, and then see if he had enough footage to create an entire performance, and then see if we had audio that would match that from that year, from that tour, that would match that level of performance.
That's great. A lot of this was unmarked and different sort of elements that we were dealing with. Some of it was print, some of it was work print, negative that hadn't ever been processed.
That's why when you see it, you'll see quality differentials in it, but it's literally because there is negative. There is print that doesn't have negative. There is screening prints without any negative, with optical sound. So we tried to get the best source for the content that we could find.
And I wanted to ask a little bit more about the sound, because, we know a lot about how film picture is restored, but the quality of the sound is so wonderful in the film. It really sounds like you're at a concert. It's incredibly high-fidelity sound. Was the sound that you found, even if you didn't know at first what it went with, was it generally in better condition than the picture, or was there also a process of restoring the quality of the sound?
There was some restoration to the sound, but those were recordings, 3-track recordings that were made by Glenn Johns, who also appears in the film. He's a very well-known engineer and producer later after this. And they were pristine recordings. They were unbelievable. So we got a chance to use them for the first time. It's really great.
I want to turn it over to you guys. We have some mics floating around, so just wait for it to come to you. We'll start there in the center, sir. Has his hand up. Yeah.
Have any of the Stones seen the restoration at all?
The Stones have seen the restoration.
Wh-
and the
What was their reaction?
They are on board and very supportive.
Yes, here in the front.
So the scene there with the family, is that, what was the occasion of that? And can you tell a little story about that, the whole scene? Or does anybody know?
Andrew Oldham knows. I don't know. It's hysterical.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
It looks like they're having a good time.
The guy's wearing the jacket, the one's wearing the pants to the, and
Yeah. Good you
They're-
caught that. You're watching. Yeah. Throughout the whole, and if you notice, throughout the whole 2 days, they don't change clothing. They're performing in their street clothes, but they're a working band. That's what's so great about this. You know, they are they are together, they're staying. If you notice in Sitting on a Fence, Charlie's sitting there really bored. He's holding his room key. He wants to leave. You know, Keith is drinking water. That's amazing. But they are a working band, and that's just them trying to kill some time, I guess. Or try to make interesting fodder for Peter to shoot, perhaps.
First, it makes me feel young again to see this footage. But my question has to do with Alan, Klein, Abko, and Andrew. These are the back room player boys here that have always proven to be quite difficult personalities and very possessive of their turf. So how was that negotiated?
I couldn't, you were a little muffled.
Yeah, can you say the last part of the question?
I'm asking a question about Alan, Klein, Abko, and Andrew Orgum, who both were very involved at this, particularly Andrew at this stage. How did you deal with the Klein estate and with Abko and with Andrew? How much hands-on did Andrew have or fingerprints on this work?
Well, Andrew, Abco is the distributor of this film, and Andrew shares the copyright on it. So there's no problem.
Yes, there.
Yeah, hi. I know you talked about shelled movies and things, and this gentleman asked about the Stones' reaction. Can you talk a little bit about the process in getting the Stones to agree to let this film come out?
We all had agreed that Charlie would be a 50th anniversary release. So that was never an issue. The interesting part came when we discovered all the extra footage and realized that it wasn't going to be the 35-minute version or the 49-minute version, that we had all this opportunity because of technology and time and heart and the benefit of 50 years to create to revisit and re-envision this time. So
And also to preserve Peter Whitehead's and Andrew's original versions
at the
of
same
this,
time, yeah, so
Right.
those still exist.
which were more of a cinema verite approach than what we're doing here, which is narrative.
So your question again, I'm sorry, was?
Well, I mean, what made...
There
for
was
instance,
no
you mentioned
convincing.
Mick. What made Mick decide that this one was okay?
Well, it's the obvious, isn't it? It's their first time. So I don't think it took any convincing.
In the back, on the end there, yes.
What was Peter's involvement in all this? Because he shot it.
Peter
and
shot.
you began talking about this. I saw you see him credited, of course. What was his role in this whole process? I'm just curious.
We went to Peter. Peter's not well physically. He was very aware of what we wanted to do, that we wanted to do this. And unfortunately, he was physically unwell enough to come here to participate in the actual day-to-day cutting of it. But we sent him versions, and he signed off. So he's, totally behind us, and so excited that it's finally getting the exposure that it deserves.
The part of did you have to dub Satisfaction in there? That version, or was that
No.
the real performance?
That's the real performance. These are all live performances, no overdubs. The real deal.
Yes, down here. Wait for the mic, please.
Lots of references to the Beatles. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about both the band's relationship.
The band's relationship between the two, they were friends. They were competitors and friends, and the Beatles were the Beatles. As somebody once said, there was the music business, and then there were the Beatles. Right?
They actually, Lennon and McCartney wrote the Stones' first single, and that was through Andrew that they got it.
So it's a friendship, a competitive, friendly friendship.
Any further questions? Maybe just in closing, Robin, you can say something about what is the destiny of this now post-New York Film Festival. How will it be distributed commercially?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that.
Okay. And,
It will be in stores.
Mhm.
Am I allowed to say that? November 6th, okay, I'm allowed to say that. Am I allowed to say anything else? Yeah. It will be theatrical. What else am I allowed to say? Broadcast. Oh, broadcast, right. I didn't know if that was all done. Okay, broadcast, and we'll be on the BBC in London. And that I can't say. You see, I always know I go too far.
Well, let's stop there, and
Okay.
just thank you and Mick very much for being here this morning.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.